Welcome to today's video about numbers, recognising numbers and ordering numbers. There are many different parts to learning about number. The stages of number learning are forwards and backwards counting, counting objects one at a time, numeral recognition, sequencing and ordering numbers, making and exploring numbers with objects and our hands, copying numerals in writing, and addition and subtraction. This video focuses on recognising numerals and putting them in order. If you've watched our previous video about number, then you should have been doing some counting games at home and your child might have an interest in number. The best way to recognise numerals is the same as with all the other ways we encourage you to learn, through play. We want children to have an awareness of what numbers look like and be able to match a number, recognise the number, and name the number. Recognising and naming the numbers aren't the same thing. If you ask your child to give you a number 2 and they do that, then they can recognise number 2. However, if you ask a child, what is this number, and they can say 2, then that is naming number. There are lots of different ways to expose your children to numbers in the house and out in the community. You can put a set of numbers up on the wall inside your house, and when you're walking past them, you can point out the number or ask your child to name the number. You can go on a number hunt inside the house or out in the community. There's lots of numbers on road signs, car licence plates. You could play a game like Find the Number. You can use language like I can see a number 2, can you see a number 2? Remember, your child may not always get the name of the number right, but that's okay. Just repeat the correct number after they say the wrong one, and this will help your child understand the number names. In order to learn about number at home, you don't have to buy lots of fancy games or workbooks. You can use what you have at home. Lego is a great way to help your children learn about numbers at home. You can write the numbers on the Lego bricks, or ask the nursery to give you a set of stickers with numbers on them. This way the children are exposed to numbers as they're building. You can ask them what number they have on their bricks, or play match the number game. You find a brick with a 2 on it and your child has to find the same number 2 brick. Or you can find a brick with a number on it and ask your child to count how many bricks to make that number. You can also use toilet roll tubes, write the numbers on them, and you can count straws, stones, pennies in your purse, whatever you have, and put them inside the tube. This is another good way to introduce the sequence of number by putting the toilet rolls in the correct order. There are lots of different ways to help your child learn to match the number. The nursery have gave you cards with numbers on them, but you can write down numbers on any piece of paper. You can use dominoes or any toys that you have around the house. It doesn't even need to be toys, it could be socks, cutlery, pennies in your purse. Count the objects, and then when your child is counted, you hold up the number that matches and say, yes, that's right, you have 2. This is what 2 looks like. This is where you can support your child to recognise and name the number. If they don't know what the number's called yet, then you can say, I've got 2, can you give me a 2? Or, where is the number 2? If they can name the numbers already, then when you've counted what your objects you have, you can pick up a number and say, what's this number called again? Children love when adults get things wrong and they can be silly and the children can tell you what the right answer is. We spoke in our previous video about how some children learn when they are active and they're perhaps not so good at sitting down and playing a game. There's lots of really good active number games that you can play. A good game for number recognition is find a number, write some numbers on different bits of paper, or ask the nursery to give you these and place them on the floor in a random pattern, not in a straight line like a number line. Shout out a number and your child has to find the number and stand on it. Remember to take shots each. Let your child shout out a number and then you have to stand on it. You can make this game harder once your children get really good at it by placing the numbers in different rooms, or some on the wall, some on the floor. This will help them to have a good understanding of number recognition. The best way to learn about number is by playing with numbers. And there's lots of different ways to do that. If you have an old cereal box or any kind of box, you could make a parking garage. Draw out the squares for the bays and write different numbers on them. And then the children can park the cars on a certain number. You could even put stickers on your cars with the numbers on so that they have to match them. Another good game is by playing shops. Empty out your kitchen cabinets and make a shop, and then get your children to count the pennies when they are being the shopkeeper. When your child gets confident at recognising and naming the numbers, we can start to think about how we can support ordering numbers and number sequencing. Your child doesn't need to be able to name the numbers, but they do need to know what the numbers are. They might find it a bit tricky if they can't name the numbers, so you might decide to continue to work on those games that we spoke about earlier on in the video. Once your child has good number recognition, then we can start to think about putting numbers in order. Remember, we start with 0, and we can start to play games that help your child to develop an understanding of the sequence of the numbers. Lego's a great game for this, so grab your Lego bricks with your stickers on them or your numbers on them, lay them on the floor and make a start to build a tower. You can put one brick on and say to your child what comes next. If they don't know what comes next, you can say to them, number 2 comes next, can you find me number 2? And see how high you can build your tower. You can also use the toilet rolls that we spoke about with the numbers on. You can make a line with those, or you can collect milk cartons and write numbers on those. Anything that you can put the numbers in a line and let your children develop an understanding of the sequence of numbers from 0 to 10. Once your child can count forwards and is beginning to count backwards, and they can recognise the numbers, then you can move on to number sequencing or number lines. The numbers that we used earlier in an active way can be used to make a number line that they can jump on. You put the numbers out randomly and start at 0. Ask your child to find the next number, so number 1, and then begin to make a line with it. When you start this game, you might need to give them lots of help, but as you do it more and more, they will understand the sequence of the numbers. Now you can add counting into this number line by using whatever you have around the house, shoes, socks, toys, and put the right amount beside the right number. You can make number part of your everyday life using the natural world when you're out and about. When you're at the park, you can collect stones and then you can write numbers on them to make a line, or you can collect twigs or leaves, conkers, flowers, whatever you can see, and count them. Children love to pull the petals off of flowers and count how many. And sticks and twigs are good for counting, as you can add the addition of longer or shorter words when you're talking about the sticks. You can also introduce counting when you're at the park. How long does it take to slide down the slide? How many swings can you have on the swing? Just lots of different ways to introduce number as part of everyday life. Once your child gets really confident with number lines and can recognise numbers, then the next step is to move on to missing numbers. Now, number lines are a good way to practice this, so you could put your number line back out on the floor, or you could make a tower with your Lego numbers, put all the cars with the numbers on them in a line, whatever you have. Begin with numbers 1 to 5 first, and then as your child gets more confident, add more numbers. So the game is that you put the number line down on the floor, or number stones or number cars, whatever you have. Ask your child to have a really good look at it, close their eyes, and you take one number away. Then they have to open their eyes and see if they can see what number is missing. To begin with, they may need to count 1, 2, until they get to the missing number, but they should eventually be able to look at the numbers and see what number is missing. When you're doing this game, you can do, yes, that's right, number 3 is missing. 3 comes after 2 or before 4, and begin to introduce that language of before and after. Remember to let your child have a shot of taking the number away. Now that we've looked at number recognition and putting numbers in the right order, you can start to think about before and after. A good game for this is just counting. Count your steps and then stop on a stair and say what comes next, what comes after, what comes before. You can go up and down the stairs to represent this, or put your numbers in a line. Ask your child, stop at a number like 5 and say what comes after 5. Now they might have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 before they can start to understand what comes before and after, but eventually we hope that they will be able to just say 2 comes after 1. It is a very hard game and they may need lots of support. Remember our little reminders. If you're going to sit down and play games or do some active learning at home, be sure that you don't have anything else on so you're not called away. Get down to your child's level to play and put your phone away. Give lots of praise and encouragement, and most importantly, have fun. We hope you found all the ideas in this video useful. Once your child has worked through the ideas in this video, you can move on to our next video, which is all about writing numbers and numbers above 10. Don't forget, if you want any resources or any further support, to just ask your child's key worker.